Okay, so this is session one. So there again are a series of PowerPoint audio clips that I'm going to have you listen to. There's some activities that I'm going to ask you to do, and I need you to know that the meditation or relaxation practice that I'm going to share with you this week is not going to be used again for the remainder of the training. This is just sort of the warm-up and a very important part of this training, but one I just need you to practice for the next 7 days. I'm going to talk about this practice that I'm going to share with you over these 5 weeks and how it differs from others and how it is similar. I am going to introduce you to this concept of meditation as a skill, something which is reproducible and very accessible to you. I'm going to talk about how you can't fail at learning this skill. Then I'm going to, after a series of these PowerPoint frames, I'm going to offer you another video where I demonstrate what meditation experience is like. It is remarkably useful in helping you to get the meditative experience, and I've been using it for a very long time and with great success. And then I'm going to return to the PowerPoints just to cover a few more things. Then I'm going to offer you a guided meditation. Here's the trick. The trick is I just want you to listen to the guided meditation one time, the first time. There's a very good reason for this, primarily that I do not want you to become reliant on the lovely tone of my voice to help you to have a meditative experience. And that simply because I want this meditative experience to be something that lives inside of you. I don't want you to have to rely on anything other than yourself to have relaxation. And if you replay the guided meditation I'm going to offer in this session, then you will begin to become dependent on what it is I'm telling you to do while we practice. Okay, so just listen to it in this session, and then go along with your 5-minute meditation daily after that.
Really, so much is going to happen in the next 5 weeks if you have the opportunity to do the course in that way. So what I need to do is I need to lock you into your motivation, because motivation, especially during behavioral change, changes. It's not always going to be as intense as it is right now. I need you to remember why it is that you have come to learn this skill. It may be discomfort. It may be this sense that there is something more to life. It may be a knowingness that regardless of past attempts or what it is you have heard about meditation, you know in your heart that you can learn this skill. I need you to know what brings you here to learn this. And so I'm going to invite you to write it down and really to think, why is it now, today, after all this time, that you find yourself wanting this skill so much that you're going to do some training? Hopefully, listening to this, you know what it is like to be relaxed. But we usually know or have knowledge of relaxation through contrast. So I want you to think of a time when you've taken a vacation, even if it was just for a couple of days. To build the contrast, I want you to think about what it was like maybe half a week before you went on vacation. How did you interact with yourself? How did you interact with others? How did you interact with the world around you? Typically, and common responses are that people feel jittery, nervous, stressed out, difficulty sleeping, eating poorly, having a hard time meeting the needs of others because there's just so much that has to be done. It's hard to sit and listen to other people because there's a burden of pressure of the future, the time that you have left. It's more difficult to pay attention to what it is that's going on around you, to enjoy the world as it is. But on vacation, a different experience. People routinely talk about feeling more nurturing, kinder with themselves, to others, more responsive to what it is that's going on around them. You can think about it as being like a radar screen. The more relaxed you are, the more expanded your awareness. People tend to respond with greater attention to yourself, to others, and the world around you. You become more nurturing. And your point of view, more flexible. You're more willing to accept new ideas, new understandings. Although you may not have the opportunity to do this training in the way that I hoped, I'm going to set out expectations to help you. One of the things that I need you to understand is if you do this course over 5 weeks, there are going to be 5 parts to this training and 35 meditations. I don't want you to see this as being some sort of a burden, having to do this practice. I need you to understand that I just need you to work the practice for 5 minutes a day. Just 5 minutes. I need you to acknowledge that you are prepared to take 5 weeks to learn the skill. You are not going to know how to do this by the end of today's training. You're not going to know how to do this by next week, but in 5 weeks, you will know how to meditate. I need you to acknowledge that you are learning a skill here. That's it. You're not perfecting anything. It's just a skill. In our first module, we're going to cover a number of different topics. The first part is a very brief introduction to meditation. Then I'm going to orient you to meditation as a skill and only a skill. We're going to discuss the fight or flight response. I'm going to introduce you to the concept of distraction. Then I'm going to dramatize for you what meditation is like, and I call it meditation as a vault. Meditation is not like a vault, but it is a fantastic opportunity for me to give you a sense of what meditation is like. Then we're going to meditate, and then I'm going to give you additional rules or suggestions that are going to help you to learn over the next 5 weeks. There really are as many different meditations as there are people. Even if everyone in the world were practicing one style of meditation, say a breath or a mantra meditation, they would still be doing it differently. And that's because your experience while you meditate is determined by your perspective. Meditation is broad. As I've said, there are as many different types of meditation as there are people. Some of them are focusing on your breath, breathing in, breathing out, a mantra, the repetition of a word, a sound, or an experience. Visualized meditations where you fabricate a context or a world or environment around you. Mindful meditations where you attend to the immediate moment and sensation-based meditations, which is what I'm going to teach you in this training, although we're not going to get to it this week. That will be for next week. The beauty of learning meditation as a skill is that it can be learned free from the interpretations provided through culture or religion. This means that no matter how good or bad a person you are, you can learn this skill. Learning this skill and your ability to do this skill also does not make you a better person. As a skill, the practice of meditation needs to be reproducible and efficient. As a skill, you cannot fail at meditation. You cannot fail at meditation. Thoughts of failure related to your practice are common. Everybody talks about it. I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing that right. I do want you to allow these sort of thoughts and feelings. However, I need you to understand that thoughts of failure simply reveal a false goal, a misunderstanding. Failure is defined by unmet expectations. If your expectation is a certain experience while you meditate, not landing on that experience is going to create thoughts and feelings associated with failure. And as I've said, you cannot fail at this. Meditation itself is a practice. It's not a goal. So regardless of your belief that you are failing or succeeding while you meditate, I want you to continue your practice. Your expectations about meditation are going to change as you learn more. And remember, you're giving me 5 weeks to teach you this. You're going to get there. The reasons for meditation are really quite simple. It's general relaxation. That's the goal. And as you learn more, it's the decreased activity of the sympathetic nervous system, the part of your body that responds to threat or stress. And in addition to that, it's an increased awareness of yourself, of others around you, and the world. This schematic is simply a way to illustrate the two different systems in your body, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic nervous system is really concerned with what your body needs to do to keep you safe from some form of threat, imagined or otherwise. The parasympathetic is a system that is in control, or more in control, the more at ease you are. The safer you are, the more your body wants to work on digesting food and getting rest. The more threatened you are, the more the body is concerned with keeping you safe, making sure that your muscles have energy to fight or to run away. These two systems are not a switch. They are more like a volume control. The more your threat reduction system is active, the less your rest and digest system is active. Our bodies respond to stress in very predictable ways. For this sympathetic nervous system, or the fight or flight response, to be activated, there must be evidence of a threat. As soon as we experience a threat, stress begins to run through our body to prepare us to run away or to fight. In this way, it mobilizes our threat reduction system. It ignites the fight, flight, fold response. When this happens, the mind begins to hone in on the threat for what it is, and to reduce or eliminate information which is deemed unimportant at that time. It forces the mind to begin filtering out information. And more, the mind can actually inflate the experience or presence of stressful material to make it easier to pay attention to. Okay, so have a look at the lower picture. You have a beautiful nature scene with some pretty dogs on the path. You're probably paying attention to the various shades of green, the sounds of birds, the heat of the sun on your skin as you move through the different pockets of shade and sunlight. You can smell the air, the moisture in the earth, hear the insects, perhaps some small animals breaking twigs or foraging. And then I want you to take your gaze up to the top picture and see the two highlighted dogs. So imagine with me now that you notice that these dogs have caught your scent, and they're turning around to regard you. These are clearly not dogs which have been trained. These are dogs that live in the wild. Understandably, you do not want your mind to continue paying attention to the sun or the insects or the various shades of green. You want your mind to attend to the threat. In doing so, the mind pushes away information which have been deemed unimportant and hones in on information deemed a threat. So in this way, the mind acts as a filter. It will filter out information which is deemed unimportant to help you focus more on a perceived threat. In this example that you see here, there are many pieces of information which are eliminated so that the mind has you focus on the dog, a health concern, and a crying baby. The mind can also make stressful experiences more prominent in your consciousness or in your awareness to help you focus more, to resolve a threat, to get you to pay attention. The mind's job in this situation is to have you not feel threatened, to keep you safe. The challenge is that not all threats are immediately resolvable. Some threats are misattributed based on past experiences and are not in any way immediate or likely. Sometimes this is hard to see in ourselves, but we can see it in our friends or family members, where despite information being given to them, they're unable to accept it. Instead, what it is that they seem to rely on the information of the past. Probably you are able to see it in yourself. Those few times a year when you get together with your whole family and everyone starts acting in the way that they did as they did in the past. Some of the threats are purely imagined and will likely never occur. The mind deals with these threats in the same way. It filters out information which is deemed unimportant, and it attends to or inflates information deemed relevant to help you reduce the threat. So have a look at a picture of these two dogs. Both of these dogs are experiencing stress. Typically, when I'm working with a group, folks attend to the dog on the right. You can very clearly see the stress response in this dog. The eyes are attending very much to the threat. The dog is leaning away from the threat, its body moving in a direction that it's not even looking at. There's a clear, unmistakable startle response. The dog on the left is also under stress. This is the fight part of the fight or flight response. The dog is showing its teeth. Its eyes as well are fixed and narrow on a target. Its movement is directed toward the line of sight. Both of these dogs are under stress. Probably this interaction would last 20 seconds or a minute. I want you to pay very close attention to how much energy and effort is being used by these animals, with the understanding that it would probably change within a few minutes. But for the sake of example, let's assume that it's not going to change, that we are somehow going to maintain this level of arousal in these two dogs for longer than a couple of minutes, let's say an hour. And I want you to imagine what that would be like. Typically, people talk about exhaustion and feeling tired. Imagine maintaining this level of stress. Now, what if we made it more than an hour? What if I made it 5 hours? What if I kept these dogs responding to threat for 5 hours? Well, they'd be more exhausted, more tired. These dogs in the state would find it very difficult to respond to anything else going on around them. They would find it difficult to respond to any other animals or friends that may be around them. They would probably find it very difficult to even respond to a need that they have inside of themselves: hunger, sleep. Now let's take it further, more than 5 hours. Let's say I kept these dogs like this for a week. Imagine the impact on these dogs' physiology if they were maintained in this level of arousal for 1 week. And we're still not even close to what the human animal experiences. Maybe not this level of intensity for a lot of us, but imagine it over time. Let's say I kept these dogs at a state of arousal for 9.5 months. Just imagine the exhaustion. Imagine how long the dogs would have to go without meeting very important needs inside of themselves, needs inside of others, responding to the world around them. Everyone reacts to stress. Stress has a measurable impact on our body and mind, and without a break, the response places increasing demands on us, often outside of our awareness, until it's unmistakable. You can probably see it in coworkers, friends, and family when stress goes on too long. They may not see it, but you can. You can see that they're not looking after themselves, that their relationships are becoming tense or difficult, that their awareness has collapsed, that they're not really paying attention to what it is that's going on around them. They are fixated on a threat. Look, I don't mean to give stress a bad name. Stress is useful. It's good. For instance, without stress, you probably wouldn't get out of bed. You wouldn't take the time to shave in the morning. You know, stress is a good thing. If we didn't have stress, when humans lived in caves, we would have touched a lot more spiders, a lot more snakes. Stress and our response to it has helped us to evolve. If you're being chased by a dog, you want your body to focus on running. You do not want your body to start picking shapes out of the clouds. Stress is a good thing, to a point. Sometimes the way the mind attempts to help us creates problems. And while this is very difficult in life at times, for this practice of meditation, how the mind works is going to make your practice easier. I'm not going to go into it yet. I'll get into it next week. The way your mind responds to stress may make your life difficult, but it is going to make learning the practice easier. Intent is a very powerful thing. It is a gateway to your experience and your awareness. It lights the way. An example of this is if you're standing in a room, simply standing there. Your intent is just to stand. As soon as your intent shifts to go towards the door, your intent then brings up barriers. Perhaps there's a chair in a way, someone standing in front of the door. Until you generate your intent, there are no barriers. Having an intent while you meditate in this practice that I'm going to show you is necessary. The more unified your intent, the more powerful the result will be. In general, people have a myriad of different intents that drive and motivate them. And so the results reflect that. But for instance, sitting here, having you listen to this recording, if I narrow my intent down to one thing, just one thing, then my intent becomes very powerful. In this practice, we have a very specific intent, and the intent is simply relaxation. Once you define an intent, you define the distraction. Relaxation is your intent in this practice. Because the intent for this practice is relaxation, the distraction becomes as clearly defined. If not relaxation, then tension. Tension is your distraction. Any emotion, sensation, or thought that brings tension.
Meditation as a vault. Meditation is not like a vault. It's quite the opposite, actually. However, I found in teaching this over many years, this dramatization helps people to get it, what it is that I want to share with them about this experience. So let's assume that you have gone about normalizing, you have checked in with what it is you think and feel and what position your body is in, not trying to make any kind of change or adjustment, just simply checking in. And then as you close your eyes, you begin to relax. And as you sit inside of this vault, you realize that your thoughts begin to bounce off of the walls. And without thinking about it, without even realizing that it's happened, you have reached out and grabbed onto one of these thoughts. And as you did, you've become more tense. And you look at it, and you say to yourself, this is me. This is who I am. This is the world that I live in. And your mind begins to problem solve this thought, this sensation, emotion, or thought. And as you do, you become more and more tense. So tense, in fact, that eventually you realize, oh, I'm no longer relaxing. And you let the thought go. And then you return to relaxing. And as you relax, you notice that your thoughts begin to bounce off of the walls of this vault. And without even realizing it, without even knowing that it's happened, one of these thoughts has been so attractive to you, so interesting, that you have reached out and grabbed onto it. And as you look at it, you become more tense, and you say to yourself, and as you look at it, you say to yourself, this is me. This is who I am. This is the world that I live in. Becoming more and more tense. And your mind begins to problem solve that thought, that sensation, emotion, or thought. And as it does, it becomes more and more tense, often creating a vivid, three-dimensional environment where you dramatize and play out that thinking, becoming more and more tense with each step until you realize, I'm no longer relaxing. And so you let the thought go, and you return to relaxing. And again you notice that as you relax, your thoughts begin to bounce off the walls of this vault. And for whatever reason, this time you don't reach out and grab onto the thought. And you begin to notice that every time these thoughts hit the walls of this vault, they lose power and speed until they disappear. Until there's nothing in this vault but you. And it feels okay. And it feels good. And you like what you feel. It's as if you took a little aluminum boat out into the lake at dawn. It's so crisp and cool that you can see the mist rising up off of the lake. And you've got that little outboard motor pushing you through the water, making those little ripples in the glassy surface of the water. And when you get out in the middle of the lake, you cut the engine. And it's as if the silence rushes in at you. And it's just you. It's as if you can almost see the air hanging around you. And it's okay. And it's just you. And you like it. You like how it feels. This is the meditation as evolved.
There's much ado about body position. For this practice, though, you can sit any way you like. If you lie down, you'll be more likely to fall asleep because you associate lying down and relaxation with sleep. If you sit in an uncomfortable position, you will be more likely to experience discomfort. If you sit with incorrect posture, you're more likely to experience back pain over time. Basically, I want you to sit your butt in a chair with your feet flat on the floor and your hands on your legs. That's it. Simple. But sit any way you want to. Okay, so here is the first meditation for this meditation training. We will not be doing this meditation again after this week. Next week, I'm going to introduce you to a different meditation. But before I start, I want you to ensure that you have 5 to 10 minutes of uninterrupted time. You're going to want to turn off your phone, make sure that you're not going to be disturbed so that you can have this initial experience with this recording. Because I really don't want you to listen to this recording again. I want you to listen to this one time, and that's because I don't want you to be reliant on the experience that I'm going to guide you through. I want you to have whatever experiences you have for the rest of the week as you practice this skill 5 minutes a day without listening to this recording. In my experience, people do become reliant on these sort of recordings, and it interrupts your progress into your own experience of relaxation. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through the steps of this, and then later on in the PowerPoint I'm going to review what it is I want you to do, review what it is I'm doing with you now. It's very simple. I don't want you to start yet, but basically I'm going to have you normalize, and I will explain what that is. It's basically just feeling out how things are. And then once that's done, then I'm going to have you begin this exercise, which involves counting from 10 down to 0, punctuating each number with an exhalation and letting go just a little bit. It's not like I want you to step off into some sort of a haze or profound cloud of relaxation. Instead, I just want, in fact, the smallest increment of relaxation possible with each number. I do not want you to go through these numbers with every breath, so that you're simply counting from 10 down to 0 with each breath. Instead, I want you to do these sort of special breaths with each number, and then just to return to breathing normally until you move to the next special breath. Special breath is very simple. It's just an inhalation. You hold the breath for a moment and then slowly exhale. That's it. It doesn't matter whether you're breathing through your nose or your mouth or any of that stuff. The important part is that with each one of these numbers, that you allow yourself to relax the smallest increment possible with each of these special breaths or exhalations. So it would go like this. I would say 10. Don't do it now, but I would say 10. You would take in a deep breath, hold it for a moment, and then slowly exhale. And as you exhale, you relax in the smallest increment possible. And then you return to breathing normally for a little while. It's really irrelevant how many breaths you do in between these numbers, but there's no point in moving on to the next special breath until you're ready. There's no rush here. And the general purpose of this exercise is to begin introducing you to a contrast experience within yourself of gradual deepening relaxation. So the first step, and we're going to begin right now, is to normalize. Normalizing simply means to check in with what is happening for you in your head and in your body and in your emotions without making any kind of adjustment. So to begin normalizing, simply close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. If not, you can leave your eyes open, but stare off into space. Certainly don't face a window where there can be some sort of a distraction. But if you're comfortable, close your eyes. Do this now. And now that your eyes are closed, I want you to check in with your body. I want you to be aware of where your feet are, where your hands are, where your bum is in the chair, where your back is, where your tongue is in your mouth, what direction your eyes are facing. I don't need you to make any kind of change or adjustment. I just want you to feel out what is. And then cognitively, or in your mind or your thoughts, I want you to be aware of whether you feel confused or clear, alert or drowsy, just checking in without making any kind of adjustment. And then emotionally, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you angry? Are you glad? Again, I don't want you to be anything different than you are. I just want you to be aware of what is. And then that's it. That's normalizing. And now we're going to begin moving from 10 down to 0. And with each number, an exhalation. And with each exhalation, I want you to allow yourself to relax in the smallest increment possible, the smallest amount of relaxation as you can. So let's begin. Take in a deep breath. Breathe it in. Hold it for a moment. Slowly exhale. 10. And then just return to normal breathing, allowing yourself to relax the smallest amount possible. And another breath. Breathe in, hold it, and slowly exhale. 9. And just allow yourself to relax a tiny bit. Just letting go a little bit and return to normal breathing. You may become aware of sensations in your body, your heart rate, your breathing. All of this is normal and natural. 8. Take in a deep breath, hold it, and slowly exhale, allowing yourself to relax just a little bit. Just letting go and return to normal breathing. Seven. Breathe in, hold it, and slowly exhale, letting go just a little bit. Perhaps you notice that your shoulders are beginning to drop away from your ears. You may begin to feel tired. All of this is normal. 6. Breathe in. Hold it. And then slowly exhale, allowing yourself to relax just a little bit. Softening, letting go. Return to normal breathing. Five. Deep breath in. Hold it. And slowly exhale, letting go just a little bit. And return to normal breathing. Halfway there now. 4. Breathe in. Hold it. Slowly exhale, relaxing the smallest increment possible. Return to normal breathing. Three. Breathe in. Hold it. Slowly exhale, letting yourself relax. Return to normal breathing. Two. Breathe in. Hold it for a moment. And then slowly exhale, allowing yourself to relax and let go. Just a little bit. And return to normal breathing. One. Breathe in. Hold it. Slowly exhale, allowing yourself to relax just a little bit. Return to normal breathing. Zero. Breathe in. Hold it. And slowly exhale, allowing yourself to relax and let go. Return to normal breathing and just allow yourself to remain in this place, this gentle, easy place. Just allow yourself to stay here for a little while. I'm going to allow the recording to continue as you just sit and remain in this gentle place. Stay for as long as you like. Just allow yourself to remain here, experiencing this. Just letting go. Simply allowing yourself to remain with this experience. Then bring yourself all the way back. And allow yourself to normalize again. Feel where your body is in the chair. Where your tongue is in your mouth. What direction your eyes are facing. Cognitively, are you clear, confused? Are you focused or distracted? And emotionally, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you angry or glad? Without making any kind of adjustments. Bring yourself all the way back. And open your eyes. This concludes the first meditation. And I want you to reproduce this practice for the next 7 days, counting from 10 down to 0, punctuating each number with a relaxing exhalation, and returning to normal breathing in between. Having taught this to many people, I've learned that there are a number of things you can do that are going to make your learning easier. So, at least for the next few weeks, I want you to keep your practice distinct, committed, personal, and consistent. I want you to practice for 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, no more than that. By keeping your practice distinct, you agree that you're going to make your practice unlike any other part of your day. You're only going to sit down and meditate when you have the time and the motivation to go through the steps. You're going to want to keep your practice committed. In other words, if you're going to sit down and meditate, you're going to have to acknowledge you're sacrificing at least 5 minutes a day to learn the practice and then do whatever it takes to get that 5 minutes. If that means meditating while you are parked in the driveway or telling your family that you have diarrhea so you can be alone in the bathroom, do it. You do whatever needs to be done so that you can get that 5 minutes a day. I want you to keep your practice personal. I do not want you talking about what it is you're learning in this class, because you're going to make it more complicated. I want this to be simple, and keeping it to yourself for the next 5 weeks is going to help you to keep it simple. Otherwise, what happens is people elaborate on what it is they're doing as they try to share it with someone else. This is a special experience. The experience you get working this practice is going to be so utterly personal. I want it to be that way for the next 5 weeks. And I want you to keep your practice consistent. Ideally, you choose the same place at around the same time, and you make this your time to learn the practice. Why? It's just easier that way. Behavioral change is hard. This is something that makes it easier. These practice logs are critical. There are 4 pieces of information you record every time you work your practice. The first one is your level of tension before. It's out of 10. If you're recording a 10 out of 10, it means that there's no room for tension left inside. You are completely full up. If you record a 0, it means that there is absolutely no tension. You want to know what your tension is before you work the practice and after. Gradually, this builds up as evidence for your mind, so you don't have to try so hard to sit down and meditate. Your mind will adaptively remind you and want it from you because it is easier and feels better. The other 2 pieces of information I want you to record are moments of struggle and moments of ease. With each individual meditation, this is not going to be so useful. But by the end of the 5 weeks, you'll be able to go back and review and find patterns. Patterns you may have suspected and patterns which you were not aware of that will help you with your practice and